Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and today I want to talk to you about my September TBR with the little caveat that it could very well be that I won't finish a single book in September because, well, I have to finish 3 papers in September, so yeah. I have an exhausting month ahead of me. I don't know how much I will end up reading. Also, before we get into the TBR for September, I just want to thank you all so very much because this month, or in August, like I think 1 week ago, 1.5 weeks ago, I finally reached 1,000 of you subscribing to my channel, which is honestly mind-blowing to me, and it just makes me really happy that, I don't know, somehow I have created this little community on this channel and that somehow there's 1,000 people who are interested, or somewhat interested at least, to every now and again hear what I have to say. So yeah, thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And if you want me to film any specific celebratory video, tell me in the comments down below. If you want me to film a Q&A, a favorite books of all times list, anything, just tell me in the comments down below and I might sit down and film it. But now back to the TBR, and let's start as always with the nonfiction that I intend to read for September. And while I still haven't started Orientalism by Edward Said, I decided to switch out which nonfiction I want to currently read because I just don't think I'll get to a very long nonfiction in September. So what I decided to do is to switch out my currently reading nonfiction from Orientalism to Thomas Piketty, Rassismus messen, Diskriminierung bekämpfen. I don't think this has been translated to English yet. This is originally in French. Thomas Piketty is a French like socioeconomist, economic historian, like in that general direction, but the translation of this title would be Measuring Racism, Fighting Discrimination. And as far as I have got it, it is a very short book basically talking about how racism influences socioeconomics. And yeah, I'm gonna be very excited. Also, it's just 70 pages minus the notes at the end, and it's written like in a really big print, so I think I should be able to get through this even in September. Continuing on, the buddy read for September for my book club is going to be Babel, or the Necessity of Violence, an arcane history of the Oxford Translators' Revolution. I believe I got the title right, by R.F. Kuang. My book club, of course, is of Queens, Witches and Valkyries, and it's all about reading adult fantasy written by women and genderqueer folks. And so in September we're going to read Babel. I am very excited for this. It is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, as for so many people, and so far I have basically heard nothing but amazing things about it. It's dark academia, it's decolonial fantasy, just a lot of elements that I really enjoy. I don't even know what the plot is of the book, to be honest. I am going into it completely blind, aside from, as I said, knowing that it's dark academia and that it has a lot of decolonial elements, and that it's about linguistics also, but that kind of makes sense with the subtitle of the book, of it being about an Oxford Translators' Revolution. So yeah, there's going to be linguistics, language stuff in there, which also excites me a lot. So yeah, I am so looking forward to reading it, and if you also plan on reading it in September, or if you're interested in picking it up in September, the link to Discord of my book club is down below in the description box, so definitely come and join us. So moving on to the reread I have planned for September, which is The Black Coast by Mike Brooks, which was the first book in the God King Chronicles by Mike Brooks, obviously. And the third book in this series came out in June. I really want to get to the third book still this year, but I do want to reread the first 2 books. So I decided to pick this up finally in September. The series, or at least the very first book, is set in a place called the Black Keep, and there people have had trouble for centuries with raiders coming and, you know, raiding and pillaging and killing people and destroying crops. And so when one day the sails of the raiders are discovered once again, everyone's like freaking out and like, oh my god, they're coming again, we're gonna die, what's gonna happen? However, the raiders this time don't seem to be coming to pillage, but they seem to be coming to settle, and they seem to be running from something. And so that is basically what this first book is about. It's kind of two different people trying to find common ground. There's a lot of cultural elements in this series, there's a lot of queer elements in this series, and yeah, I really want to get to the third book, so I'm excited to be rereading this. This was one of my favorite books of the year last year, 2021. Moving on, the third fiction book on my TBR for September is The Widow Queen by Elżbieta Czeresinska. I finally need to read this so I can finally upload my international fantasy video that I had been planning since the beginning of 2021. It's now been almost 2 years since I started reading for that book, so it's time that I finally read the last book that was on the TBR for that video. This is historical fantasy translated from Polish. I don't know that much more about it, aside from that we follow a daughter of a noble family, or you know, of the king's family or whatever, but I guess that would be kind of suggested by the title as well. But yeah, I am very excited to get into this. I have heard some good things about this. However, this is not generally very talked about, so I'm going into it pretty blind, even in terms of the general consensus of this book. And yeah, I'm going to be excited to see how the translation is doing. Also, it's like a big floppy paperback, and I haven't had one of those in a while, and it's so nice. Well, there are currently a few new releases I want to get to, like The First Binding and Moon Dark Smile. I decided that for the second to last of my fiction books for this TBR, I am once again going to pick one from my general TBR jar. This TBR jar holds most of the books that are currently on my Goodreads TBR, although I haven't updated this jar in a while, so you know, the newer books that I have put onto my Goodreads TBR aren't necessarily in there. And yeah, I just picked one of these, and it's basically a TBR jar so I don't forget what's on my Goodreads TBR, because obviously I don't look in there all that often. So yeah, let's see which book I pull from this time. Here I have the book, and it's probably gonna be a title. No, it's not a title that I don't know anything about. It is City of Lies by Sam Hogg. I don't know generally what it's about right now, because it's an adult high fantasy written by a woman, which means I basically put it on my TBR. Like, I look at it once if it sounds interesting to me, then I put it on my TBR, and then I don't look at what it's about until after I read it. So I know it's a book that has been on the poll for my, you know, book club before, but aside from that, I don't know that much more about it. I think there might be some thief protagonists in there or something. I know that some people that I follow on BookTube have had mixed feelings about this book, but I still want to read it and see for myself what my thoughts are. Once again, the last book left to pick is from my series TBR jar, and here I have all the series that are currently unfinished on my shelves. I mean, not all the series. There's like 1 or 2 series that I haven't put in there yet, but you know, I'll put them in there in the future. So let's see what book it is this time. This time we have, if I can get this open, Legends of the Condor Heroes by Jin Young. This is a Chinese, I think, wuxia series. I believe that's the genre it falls into. Basically, it's a very culturally specific type of historical fantasy, although I don't know if I really want to call it fantasy or not. I guess by Western understanding it would be fantasy, but I'm not necessarily sure if it would be by Chinese understanding. But yeah, I read the first book last year. I really enjoyed it, so let's see what I think of the second book. And that was it for my September TBR. If you have read any books and you know, you want to share your thoughts on them without spoilers, tell me in the comments down below. If you're interested in buddy reading any of the books, obviously I'm as always very open to buddy reading. If you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. All the links to my social media as well as to my book club, as I mentioned, are linked down below. So go and check them out, and I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!